Maniacs, welcome back to the channel. Now, you're probably wondering, why are you going to go ahead and tackle this subject more? And look, this isn't the first time I've delved into the conversation of serial killers, murders, mysteries, and things like that. You know, I'm pretty familiar with it, and I have done reactions to things like this before. I was watching one of my good friends' YouTube channels recently, and I've noticed this guy started to post a lot of videos about this, and I was like, damn, this thing is really going still, isn't it? And there was a lot apparently I didn't know about this whole case. Apparently, you know, there was somebody else involved, and you know, Chris Watts was not the only person involved. I simply did not know, and it came to my attention while watching, checking out my friend Zawoki's channel, and I was just shocked. I was shocked. And as a matter of fact, I almost delved into another one of his videos in the beginning of his video that actually kind of made sense to me. He wants to reopen this case in case this person is in fact, let's say, responsible for something big, maybe helped out with this murder. And I thought, it's a good idea. So I decided, well, why not tackle it along with him? If we can help this case a little bit. This lady might still be, you know, a sicko and free, which if she is, and, you know, of course, you'll hear my thoughts about this subject through this video reaction. We'll talk about it. So let's go ahead and dive into this video, guys. And please give me some more information down below. Leave your comments, leave your likes, leave your subscriptions. If you want to subscribe to this channel, we do a lot of paranormal reactions. We do a lot of horror movie talk stuff. If you like this, all that kind of stuff, you might really dig this channel. So we're going to go ahead and dive into the video, and I'll give you guys my thoughts during and, of course, and after the video.
Well, hey there, idiots. Welcome back to Observe. In today's video, we're going to be doing a full analysis on Nicole Kessinger.
This video is going to be over an hour long, so I broke it up into two parts, both for view.
Now, I've already done this partially as a collaboration with Jordan over at The Art of Deduction, but a lot of you politely requested that I do it myself in my normal format and to the full extent of the entire interview. I am happy to oblige. However, since this is true crime, most of these videos don't end up getting monetized, so if you would like to make more of these videos possible, please follow the links in the description below. If you're also interested in the backstory for this video specifically, I have already done that over at the Chris Watts video. That will be linked in the description as well. But that's enough small talk. Let's get moving.
Yes, sir. Show me what we need to see. Okay, so I'm sorry, I had to grab the keyboard. Again, this is the first time I'm actually going to be, I feel like, almost witnessing this person, so we'll see. We'll see, and if, depending on how she answers questions, which I'm sure we're going to be seeing, because this is body language. Yeah, this is suspicious body language. It's like a kind of a reading on someone's body language, which you can tell a lot from someone's body language. I think we'll get our answers just by the way they act. You gotta look for the little things. I was told when someone's lying, you should look for the smallest things they do in any sort of feature. Like sometimes when people lie, they'll say something, they'll like wink their eyes or they'll blink their eyes and stuff. You gotta pay attention really closely. So we'll see. We'll see.
All right. So this first part that we're going to be looking at is going to be more or less establishing a baseline for Nicole. Now, this isn't going to be a perfect baseline because she's still under a fair amount of stress. This is an interrogation or interview, and she's also pretty tired. However, this is the only footage that I could find that would provide at least a semi-reliable, nonverbal baseline for the rest of the reading. Notice her tone, body language, and mannerisms during this entire first segment here.
As a matter of fact, let me get my glasses on. Sorry.
So when you go through the text messages, Tammy and probably Stacy will be there.
Okay.
So you guys know each other.
Okay.
Or if they reach out to you, you know that they're not the media.
Yeah. Can you guys give me your cards?
Yeah.
Really? I got everyone. Okay. I just
Thank
now
you.
with this new phone, it's like I got so many numbers that I'm sure I can figure out who they are. But I need to just deal with that. Like if you guys can help me get all of my contacts from this phone to.
So I can get a tech guy maybe to help me because I'm bad at it
He gave
too.
me instructions.
So this is your old phone?
This is the one that I use for communication. This is the one that's going to you guys.
Okay.
This one.
So if you notice the tone that she has in her voice, it has a specifically casual timbre to it. There's not any stress to it, so much so. However, I'm
going to say my opinion before he says his opinion. I know people are going to be like, you know, stop pausing the video. I can't stand that. But hear me out. There was something about the way she was acting that really just made me feel like she was trying too hard to sound innocent. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? When you're like talking, I've seen this happen several times too, where people like they'll just be acting like all nothing, no, there's no issue, whatever, and they'll be acting all happy, giggling a lot. Being very carefree is a big thing. They like to try to act carefree, but sometimes it comes off like they're being too giddy, things like that. I mean, I know some people are naturally happy, but sometimes when in situations like this, there's no reason you should be this happy unless you were hiding something because, well, you're being literally questioned for possibly being accomplice. And that's a pretty serious thing. I wouldn't be joking in this situation. I'd be shitting my pants. I'd be like, oh my God, I need to be as serious as possible right now because I'm being questioned. I don't know how she's so carefree.
Interesting thing to point out is that even at the point where she's saying, and they gave me instructions, her pitch raises up a fair bit, and that is common in points of stress. Now, as we continue to watch this, we learn that she's stressed about getting everything switched over on her phones because it's a stressful thing to do. So that pitch fluctuation is a fairly good tell for an indicator of a stressor in her nonverbal baseline. So if we hear that pitch spike up again, that should be a red flag for us. I'll give you a hint. It does this. It does this later on in the interview at some interesting points. But as you can hear from the rest of her tone, everything sounds pretty normal, and her body language is relaxed, albeit a little bit stressed due to the nature of her settings and her surroundings and what is going on around her. Let's keep watching.
This is nicer.
I know. iPhones suck. I'm kind of relieved to have this back.
Okay, so you want to move contacts from there to there.
That's all I want to do. Once you guys do that, then you guys can have this phone. I mean, he gave me a way to do it, so I think I need to connect to Wi-Fi, and then I need to download this app, and then I think once I download it, I can sync it up. And I need to just download the app on both phones.
So let me get a guy who knows.
I'm wondering why she feels the need she has to move all of her contacts to her other phone, and then is giving them the old phone. Why does she need to do that? Please, someone comment in the comment section. Why does she feel she needs to do that? I don't understand. Like, if there's nothing you have to hide, then why are you wanting to go through with that and try to transfer all the contacts to your other phone? I'm sure it's not like, there's probably maybe more thinking it, but it's just, to me, it's like an odd thing, I don't understand that part.
About Wi-Fi? Is your password still 653038?
Yeah, that hasn't changed.
So that's going to be that one. And which one is getting all the new text messages? Your new phone?
Mm-hmm. I've only got a few, and they're like, now I get what you're saying, like they're out of order.
Once again, another pitch change there. I only got a few, higher pitch, point of stress. This is reaffirming that higher pitch is an indicator for a point of stress. Now we know as we continue throughout the rest of the analysis to look out for those pitch changes as points of stress.
They're scrambled, they're missing. They don't make sense. I got super excited when I saw them because I was like, maybe it'll be all of them, but it's not.
So maybe what I'll ask,
I will say that part where she's saying,
maybe it'll be all of them, but it's not.
It has a higher pitch to it, but it's not that same tone. If you notice the difference between it, it's her doing the classic recollection voice.
Didn't notice.
A lot of people will actually verbally recall thoughts in their heads in a higher voice or a different voice than their normal voice. This isn't out of the ordinary. So this isn't a point of stress so much as it's just her recalling. But you can tell that tone difference between the high pitch of stress and this high pitch of recollection.
a device that maybe we can download that too.
This one too? All right. I mean, I don't know if that'll work, but we can try it.
Here's mine.
Thank you for, thank you.
And then Kevin knows how to get a hold of us after hours and then I'm going to do that too.
I appreciate that.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I need to get with these
Oh,
phones.
okay. Are you giving her a spare phone? Is that what
She
you
has her own spare phone, but when she linked her accounts, a bunch of messages between her and Chris were recovered on her new phone.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna have to probably just celebrate right now
Oh, okay.
on her new phone, so we don't have to take all her phones.
Yeah, no doubt.
Are you good here for a bit? Okay.
Do you have some water or anything?
Please.
Okay.
So a bunch of messages were recovered between her and Chris. I'm beginning to see. Yeah. There's something suspicious. There is something off about the way she's acting. She's acting more nervous. It's almost because she is acting as nervous as she is why I'm beginning to see why so many people believe that this woman could have been involved in some way, and I'm beginning to see it. Like this, that's not the way you should be acting if you had nothing to hide to begin with. You're acting like you have something to hide, and that's why you're like the simple, can I have a glass of water? And, you know, people can ask for a glass of water. That's fine. You know, I like my water, of course. But in a situation like this, where he was just talking about, you know, a bunch of messages where, you know, came back up and stuff between her and Chris, and now she's asking for water and stuff. It looks, and she's about to be left in the room by herself, which I'm not sure if they turn off the camera when that happens. I really doubt they do, but of course the camera should be rolling. We're gonna see if she like does anything that really makes it look like she's stressed out or something like that. So I'm curious to see what we catch on camera here.
All right, so that's going to be more or less the baseline that I get to work with for this read. Once again, it's not a super astoundingly great one, but it's better than no baseline at all. I would like to have a perfect world where she is perfectly relaxed and I can really establish where she is at non-verbally for her baseline, but this is going to have to do for now. That tone, that conversive, casual tone, and noticing those high-pitched spikes during points of stress. That's what we got from that first segment. We're going to continue in from here, where we start seeing some more signs of stress.
Okay. Nicole's first sign of nerves. All right.
So your phone this time, do you have any objections to us looking at everything in your phone?
Why do you even need that? I'm just curious. Like, why do you need everything as opposed to just stuff being there?
So once again,
that's suspicious. That was suspicious. Why do you need that? Why do you need all that stuff? Why? Just why? This is not looking good for her. Of course, I went in with a fresh mind, a fresh, clean slate, and already this is not looking good. That is like one of the biggest red flags I think anybody could ever receive in one of these interviews. Why do you need that? Why would you ask for something like that? Because that we need to know if you were sending stuff or if you were having really negative, like really impactful conversations. Why else would we ask for something like that?
There's that high-pitched stress indicator. He asks, are you okay with us having your phone? And she answers with a question.
Why do you even need that?
And it's that high-pitched tonal spike that we know is an indicator of stress for Nicole. So there's something that she doesn't like about giving her information over to the police. Now, this is to be expected. Anybody who has anybody go through their phone, regardless of if there's anything to hide or not, is just uncomfortable. So it's not unexpected that she's not really interested in this, but it's also still a point of interest and a red flag that I'm going to keep in the back of my head as I continue to read.
I think it's a red flag. I think it's pretty
weird. Because it's easier to get it. And if we're looking at all the material, let's say I take everything off your phone, I can put a date in, like let's say August 10th through the 15th, because those are...
Now, she said that she was thirsty earlier. She takes a swig here. Once again, this could just be a swig of water without any real repercussions. However, it is still interesting that this swig of water is taken during this point of stress. She just got stressed about needing to hand her phone across, and now she's leaning back and taking a swig of water. Now, you could take a swig of water just because you're thirsty, but you could also take a swig of water because your mouth is dry because you're nervous. This is another thing that I'm just keeping my eye on and keeping in the back of my mind as I continue forward with the rest of the analysis.
Critical days.
I'll tell you one thing I like to do when I'm nervous, right, is I like to press my tongue up against my teeth. I know that's weird, but I like it. That's something I like to do when I'm like I do stuff like that. And I'm not trying to make this a joking matter, by the way. I'm not trying to laugh. But again, this proves the points that she is coming off like she's hiding stuff. 100%. 100%. She is not coming off like an innocent little individual at this moment, and that's kind of what I was looking for. We're only 7 minutes into this video, and already I'm seeing red flags all over the place. All right, let's continue. I'm not going to pause it too much. I just have to pause it because in case this video is too loud, I want to be able to let you guys hear my voice and what I think. So that's kind of the point of these videos, is to kind of give you an idea.
But other conversations between you and Chris, or other text messages between you and Chris from June or July, then it makes it harder for me to find all those. Do you understand what I mean? It's easier for them to just take everything. I don't know. Are they?
Yeah, I mean, except for when I first met him, and it was his APC thing.
Okay, and then what about your phone log? It's always his 9M0 number?
All the time.
Right.
Like it's always that one, or originally was his.
We talked about your GPS.
So she does a no shake while talking about this, which some could see as it hasn't been that same thing all the way around. However, the rest of her body language, if you consider it all in context, that no shake is less likely to mean deceit rather than just that's the way she moved her head during that sentence. The rest of her tone stayed the same. The rest of her body language stayed the same. There were no other nonverbal spikes to indicate that that could be a point of deceit. I believe that his phone number did indeed stay the same all the way through, judging by her body language.
Locating, like, knowing where your phone is.
Pretty good
at
analyst.
certain
I
times.
mean, you guys can have all that. I just was like, oh my god, I have so many texts on here between me and all my friends. I'm like, do they really want all this stuff?
Well, is there anything...
A little bit more of that higher pitch point, but as a recollection rather than a stressor. You could hear the tonal differences, so this isn't a point of deceit. This is just a point of recollection.
in those texts that you'd be concerned with?
Not really.
So, well, not really, or yes or no?
No, I mean, like, the other day, my dad and I just had to do...
Interesting, this part here. So he asked an important question.
Yeah, I want to give my 2 cents about this first because, you know, obviously that's what the point is, right? But the question she asked right there was like, do they want all these messages between me and my friends and stuff and all these conversations and whatnot? And he's, you know, asks, well, is there anything that you would not want us to hear in these conversations? And she's like, you know, not real, like, you know, not really, like, you know, it's not really suspicious. And he's like, not really, no, or like there is something suspicious. And she's now moving her body back and forth, and I just almost want. I'm just gonna continue because I don't want to.
He asks, is there anything more or less that's going to be incriminating for her? And she says,
Not really.
And that is an answer without answering. It's trying to kind of weasel around it. That's why he re-asks, is it not really, or is it not at all? And she has this pitch aggression increase, and then she leans back like this, which is really interesting. It's a weird cluster of nonverbal communication here, a weird cluster of spikes that's happening. If I were in the room with this gentleman, I would see that as a pretty noticeable red flag that in fact there likely were things on that phone that have been hidden, but right now there's not enough to be able to say that for certain. We have to continue analyzing.
Damage control, because a lot of people were like, hey, please call me, I don't know what to say, and I just told them all, like, I didn't say anything. I pretty much just said, if mediators contact you, tell them no comment. It's like, please be nice to them, you do not need to talk to them.
She's really uncomfortable recalling this. Her body language is showing a lot of anxiety and nerves in this entire monologue that she's giving to this guy right now. She's got a lot of...
Yeah, she's basically like sliding out of her chair at this point. Like she's barely on her chair anymore. She's just almost going under the desk. Oh my gosh. She is a nervous wreck at this point. Yeah, getting asked this question. She definitely has some conversations between some of her friends about this and is acting very suspicious.
Strain across her legs as she's pushing her body off of the chair. She's really leaning back. She's doing a whole lot of very odd stuff that wasn't there before. This is called a nonverbal spike. This would be considered a positive nonverbal spike. And what I mean by positive nonverbal spike is that where there was no action before, at a point of possible interest, there was a large portion of nonverbal action. It's a red flag to a nonverbal analyst when they see something like this. Something's fishy about this entire recollection and story that she's telling.
Like,
I agree.
And breaking laws, and I was just like, just send your love and support, and that was all I said to people.
So
we'll find out.
All the phone calls of people going,
no,
are you okay?
They were prompting me.
Right.
That is why I did that, because I didn't even want to like say that, but I was getting all sorts of texts from people that were like, media's trying to contact me. I don't know what to do. I didn't tell them that I was a witness. I didn't.
So you heard that spike again pitch-wise, but you hear the difference. It's the recollection or reenactment tone that people take. I don't think that part was a lie. However, as everything else is showing here, I do feel like there is some reason for her to really not want them to have her phone. It would seem incriminating for her to be like, no, don't take my phone. I don't want you to see it. So she's kind of being strong-handed into releasing this. I don't know if they found any information on the phone yet, but from what I see, there's something fishy that's going on there.
Tell them anything about that. It was just like, just say no comment, I need you to do this.
Okay.
And then a couple of my like super, super close friends, I asked them if they would be courteous enough to take all the pictures that we had of each other off Facebook and social media, and they said yes, and that was like a couple of really close friends.
Is there any text messages between you and friends that reference anything that would...
So this sort of gesture that she does here, this is a self-soothing gesture. People who are stressed will do this sort of thing. It could take form in various different ways. It could be this fixing sort of deal, or hair rubbing, head rubbing. It's a self-soothing gesture. There are some that say, well, think back to when you were a baby, how your guardian would stroke your hair to be able to calm you down. It's still a subconscious thing that we'll do today, to this day, as adults, to be able to help calm ourselves down. She's recollecting a stressful thing that she had to do. That makes sense in there as well.
Be concerning.
Wow, this is very informative.
No.
I gotta say.
Like, talking about Chris.
Sorry.
I think you've told me that you've never...
This microphone might not have been too close to my face, so my voice probably was a little bit quiet in some places. I apologize. Hopefully I paused and gave you guys my thoughts anyways. I can't really refilm this, so sorry about that.
really talked with
My friends about him. No, and like my friend's dad died last night, like yesterday.
I'm not worried about that.
No, I know, but she started like, oh my god, she was really drunk last night. She started like freaking out. She's like, I don't know what's going on in your life. She's like, I don't know if it pertains to this case. And she like just sent me.
What does this have to do with anything? Her dad, like, obviously that's, you know, heartbreaking and unfortunate, but that has nothing to do with the case she's at. She should be really focusing on herself. What is she doing?
Like a screenshot of a news article of that case, and she was just like...
He's even like, I don't really...
I didn't mention that it had anything to do with that. She's like, I don't know if that's what it is. He works at Anadarko. She's like, I really don't give a shit. She's like, I just really need you to be here with me and my dad and this and this and this. And she was just kind of upset because I had asked her to please say no comment to the media, and it happened to be like right when her dad died, and I think she was feeling a little like, yeah, but I mean, you guys can read this. There's nothing in there of me actually saying anything about it. I just told her.
What's your phone number on that phone?
72.
So she's still showing a lot of nonverbal spikes during this point, with nervous gestures, placating gestures, needless moves of things. Like if you watch her, she literally moves a water bottle without a reason. There's no point to it. There's just a lot of nervous activity while recalling this. I'm betting, I don't know, but I'm betting she's concerned that this friend could be a problematic point, maybe talking about stuff to people. Maybe this friend runs with their mouth a fair bit. Regardless, she's talking to the police about if she shared anything about the case, and then when she's talking about this friend, she's acting really nervous. So she might be worried that this friend is going to talk. However, it's also interesting that she quickly tries to divert attention from the question that the interrogator originally asked so quickly with a story about this friend. This is very suspicious to me. All sorts of verbal and nonverbal red.
I think to anybody this would be suspicious. I don't think there's anybody on this planet who would not think that was odd to move from one conversation to another like that by the person who was being interrogated. Yeah, it makes no sense unless she had something to hide or was just nervous.
Flags that are giving me an uneasy feeling in my gut about this, and all of this is something that I'm keeping in mind as the read continues.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the same phone number that's on this one, 656-9605. So no, I mean, you guys can look.
So there was a conversation that I asked you about between you and Charlotte too.
That's the same girl.
That same girl who was freaking out.
Yeah.
So was there ever a conversation about kids with you?
That gesture, just real quick, this one, it looked like she was actually rubbing her eye rather than doing this gesture that she was doing earlier. This is part of the thing where I was saying she's very tired in this, so that's kind of making it difficult to use her baseline with complete confidence. This is one of those nonverbal signs that she's tired.
You and Charlotte, like you, I can't remember the exact context, but you guys were talking.
Hanging out with a guy who had kids.
Okay. And
she has not even like.
All right, so this little portion of the interview that we just watched really was showing Nicole having agitation and nerves and stress around the idea of handing her phone over and this friend. Those are two points that I see red flags from her as stressors. We're going to start seeing Nicole's stress rising in other areas and how it shows itself as well.
Okay. Yeah, that was just the first part of this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, already. Already, she is exactly what you would be afraid of if someone was being interrogated and, you know, clearly somebody has something to hide. And look, I'm not one to point fingers, okay? I'm not. At the end of the day, I'm not. I go into these cases very much aware that there are people who just want to see people get falsely accused and things like that. But I got to be honest when I say this. Everything she has been doing so far in this small little body language analyst thing that I'm watching has been, yikes. Oh boy, this person has been doing something that they shouldn't have, clearly.
All right. So your conversation about him having kids, how did that go?
I mean, I don't know, I just told her,
Is it still, did you delete that, or is it still in there?
No, I have no reason to delete anything else on my phone. And the reason I deleted all this stuff with Chris is because he was making me feel really uncomfortable, and I didn't want to see it in my phone anymore.
Okay.
So right off the bat, when he asks the question, she does a mouth blocking gesture, and then she also has a pitch spike afterwards when she's saying, however, it doesn't have that same tone that we heard from before at the stressor points, but it does seem similar to that. That's something that I'm keeping in mind. And then she starts doing some verbal stuttering whenever he asks this important question. That could be seen as her processing, trying to come up with a lie kind of thing, or it could just be her finding the right words that she wants to be able to use while talking. It's something that a lot of people will do, especially if they're nervous, is stumble over their words. So it could be a sign of nerves for deceit, or it could just be a sign of your normal, everyday, average nerves that you would see in a police investigation or interrogation.
Yeah, let me scroll all the way back here. We're in the scroll talk a lot. No, she is like...
So let's just, while we're here, because we talked about this before, but we didn't talk about the specific context of what that message said regarding to children. So obviously in the situation that we're looking at now with the death of 2 children and all the other circumstantial stuff going around in the case.
All right, so we can see another sign of stress from Nicole in verbal stuttering. As I said before, this is something that shows up commonly in nerves for just about everyone. If you're nervous, you'll probably stumble verbally. So she's nervous here. It's just a matter of telling why she's nervous. Is it because of deceit, or is it just because she's in the situation that she's in?
Well, there was a lot of pauses in there too. Like when she was being asked a question, she was like, and again, she might be stuttering because she's nervous, but at the same time, you know, well, why are you so nervous? Right? Kind of like one of those things. Why are you so nervous? Nicole throws up emotional shield.
I just want to make sure there was no comments ever made by you regarding, you know, children or dislike of children or love of children, either way. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I guess. Let me find it. I think this is where this starts.
Thank you for cranking up that volume.
You guys can just take whatever you want out there.
So it's easier for me to just take everything than it is to single it out. Plus, for the purposes of this case, the less exposure, you know, we already have, initially you drew concern from me when you told me you deleted everything from Chris. I've already told you that. You understand why. There's no question as to why that might cause concern. So if there's anything else that ever comes up, I have it, and then we can just discuss it.
All right. So I'm going to talk about something tonally and non-verbally that happens during this question. If there's anything talking about whether or not you like kids, these are very important questions that he's asking, and her response is not matching the intensity of the question. And she doesn't really answer, and when she does answer, her pitch is much more low and airy. This is a spike from her normal baseline, from what we heard earlier in her conversational tone before. This is a spike, so we have to take note of that. Along with that, if you look at how she's facing, she's not facing directly at him. She's facing lightly away, and she's put up this arm. Now, she's masking it as a leaning on the head, so all of this could be read as maybe she's just really tired. It's a possibility. She is tired. This could be the way it's playing out. However, I just find it odd that in this sort of situation with this sort of questioning, she's not regarding it in such a way that it kind of deserves. If somebody is asking you if you wanted kids or didn't want kids or liked kids or didn't like kids in regards to a case where you're dating a guy who did some terrible things in relation to his wife and kids, then I feel like it has to have some intensity, or at least deserves some more attention than she's giving it. She's acting disinterested, and she's throwing up this partial blocking gesture as well. So this is a red flag for me as well. So far, every time that he's brought up anything about Chris and anything about the relationship that she might have with the kids,
she's kind of just very not interested, kind of mind your own business kind of vibe coming off.
She's been doing some odd nonverbal behavior. This isn't turning out super well for Kessinger's innocence, in my opinion, so far, but we have to be able to try to keep an open mind as we continue forward, because there's the possibility that she is indeed innocent. Right now, I'm not feeling that.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I flip of just this interview where she's being asked very simple questions, but for some reason can't give normal answers. That's the weird part. She can't give normal answers to very simple, understandable questions. And again, if she had nothing to hide, there would be no reason for this. There'd be no reason why I'd be sitting here talking like this.
Understand what I mean? All right.
It's right here.
Also, I have to apologize. This footage becomes desynced. You'll notice that. I noticed it. I just didn't really want to go and try to resync it. I'm not going to explain myself anymore. We're going to keep watching.
Hey, it works, man.
Right there. She starts talking about her and her fiance. So that was like weeks ago. And she hasn't brought it up since, really, or like connected the dots or like said shit. I mean, you guys can look through all those texts.
Whoa, boy.
She's repeated herself a lot. And that's something I picked up on, was her repeating herself. Yeah, you guys can look at all these texts. You guys can look at all these texts. You want to look at all, you know, I'll let you guys have all these texts, these messages. You guys can look at these messages. Like, obviously, I think at some point they're just going to get the information no matter what, but thank you.
All right, so a lot of blocking gestures here. A lot of spacing, blocking gestures
arms,
going on as she actually hands her
folds the arms and then kind of slunches back down in her chair like, whatever.
Phone over. She leans back, crosses her arms. This is creating space, and it's also creating a barrier. She also does this. She blocks her face. These are all blocking gestures. Now, they could be partially explained, and what I feel like she would likely explain it as is as tiredness. However, it's just odd that it's happening right now when she hands the phone physically to the person who's doing the interviewing or interrogating. This is a red flag again. Nicole is not happy about having to hand over her phone. There's something that's going on there, whether it's related to Chris, whether it's related to anything else, I'm not sure, but she doesn't want to give her phone over. Let's keep watching.
She's probably like in the back of her mind thinking this guy's just going to start looking through all the messages and find something, and then they're just going to arrest her. That's probably what he's thinking. Or she's thinking, sorry. But yeah, she really does not look happy at all. She looks like she is just, every fiber of her being is probably wanting to grab that phone and put it back in her pocket, like immediately.
And I don't know when that was. That was definitely when things were going good. So this is like weeks prior, I'm just assuming. I think the date is at the top of whenever we started texting that day.
It looks, this is
We talk a lot.
August 7th.
Yeah.
So I reference everything to Sunday the 12th.
So that's the only conversation like that on there, I believe, on my phone. I don't think there's like anything else. And she even last night, like, still wasn't even, she's so worried about her.
All right, so something that sticks out to me is the lack of synchronization between the interviewer or interrogator and Nicole. As things are going on, you would hope to see maybe a little bit of mirroring in their body language. He does some mirroring of her. Whether or not that's intentional or not is another question. However, she does none towards him. This just indicates that they're not in sync together. They are very, very out of sync as two people. If you see somebody who is mirroring another person or vice versa, or they are mirroring each other, that means that they are in sync with each other, and you don't see that here. While that's not an incriminating tell, it is something to note that she doesn't feel in sync with this person, whether that's because she doesn't feel like he's really there to help her, or because she's hiding something and trying to be deceitful, or because she's just so tired that she's not really with it enough to reciprocate body language like this. Any of those could be reasons, but it is something that I am still keeping note of as I do the analysis.
Nicole on Chris's stressors and kids. All right. See how she treats this.
What do you mean by can tell he has a lot to take care of in life? What did you mean when you said that?
He has a mortgage and he has kids.
Okay.
And responsibilities. I mean, he's a father of a house.
You're even saying in here he's all about his kids.
Yeah. And she was like asking me somewhere in there, like, I mean, everything I had to say about him at that point was like really positive.
So she's talking very soft in this point. Now the question is this the same tonal spike that we noticed earlier where she randomly dropped pitch and lost interest and all these sorts of things, or is this because she's tired? I'm not positive. Both of them could be because she's tired. Both of them could be because she's lying. It is still interesting that he asks an important question centered around Chris, and she uses this tone again, and it's once again kind of centered around the kids. This tone and the kids show up multiple times. From what her body language is presenting, she isn't a big fan of the kids, or at least there's something suspicious going on centered around that. Yeah. Let's keep watching to see if that actually...
Jealousy of the kids? Jealousy that all of his time went to his family?
comes to fruition.
Like, I think I made it clear that I wasn't like 100% sure this was like the man of my dreams and I was going to spend the rest of my life with him or anything, but I was enjoying the time that I was spending with him at that point.
A married man?
You're referencing that he has 2 kids and then you don't like that because you want to have that experience with somebody else? Is that what?
I just said I wasn't sure if he was the one that I wanted to be with because he had already like done everything.
Okay.
Like I was like, it would be really nice to kind of like have kids and have my own marriage and all of that stuff. That was never anything I conveyed to him.
That was interesting. Was it not? That was interesting.
That was something.
She says that she enjoys spending time with Chris. She admits that. She said that she enjoyed it at that time. That was something that she loved. She never mentioned that she appreciated being around the kids. Also interesting. And then she says in her texts that he has kids, and she says that she doesn't like that he's done everything, has kids, and she then gives the explanation in a very stilted, broken form that she doesn't like it because she kind of wants to have kids, you know, and it does this pitch increase and it's all broken apart. I don't believe
almost like she was kind of making up a cover right there, like, oh, I kind of like kids, but I want my own someday, but or she just plainly doesn't like the idea of having kids, but she likes this guy.
That that's the reason that she didn't like that Chris had kids. I just don't think she wants kids, and I don't think that she was wanting to have kids. I think she just wanted kids out of the picture. Maybe down the road she wanted kids, but right now she wasn't interested in it. She wasn't interested in Chris having kids. That's not good news. And I get it. Kids aren't for all people, so I get that. But in this situation, that's not good news for her.
No,
not because she doesn't want kids, but because of what happened.
Yeah.
If you take my meaning. But without further ado, that's all that I've got for the day. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome as you always are.
You were too,
and
man.
I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.
You were too. That was very informative. Very informative. Okay. Very, very interesting video. That was the first time I've ever watched a body analysis of somebody ever. That was pretty cool. I gotta admit, like, that was cool. There's a lot. There's a lot here. I don't think she's innocent. I don't. This is, okay, again, this is the first time I'm actually diving into anything that has to relate to Nicole Kessinger in any sort of way. And I gotta be honest, this is, red flags were all over this room. I mean, I could even tell in the investigator, the interrogator, that he was just not feeling her vibe. He thought, I even felt he thought something was off about her and the way she's acting. Tired is not what I thought. I mean, even sometimes I rub my eyes, right? So it's not, like when I'm nervous, sometimes I rub my eyes. It's not really, you know, necessarily a tired thing. I was going to say that earlier, but that's something. That's something. I'm not sure when this was posted, but I'm going to find out here in a second. This was 2 years ago. So again, this is, again, guys, an ongoing case right now, or a case that we feel maybe should be reopened. And after this video, I mean, I could probably safely say I'd almost consider reopening this. I'm not sure if she's innocent. I'm not sure if she's won in court. I'm not sure if anything's ever happened to her. But if nothing's happened to her, I'd be surprised. There's something here. Leave your comments down below. Leave your comments down below. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're around here. And I'll check you guys out in the next video. I will do more of this stuff if you guys so wish. All right, take care.